Start the recording, and Paul, whenever you get ready, Angela, when you're ready, you got it.
All right. Thank you, Marshall. Welcome to the June 15, 2022 CalPADS office hours / Q&A. I guess today's the Q&A because it's Wednesday. So my name is Paul Higgins. I'm a data analyst working at CSIS supporting CalPADS. As we get started, let's just get some general housekeeping out of the way. As Marshall said, if you would, please hover over your name in the participants list and amend it to show ideally first name, last name, and organization you're with. But if nothing else, just a name we can actually pronounce and reference you to. That would be wonderful. Let's see, after we get through the announcements and the general overviews, we'll ask that you please write your questions in the chat box, numbering them Q1, Q2, etc. So that way we can hit all of the Q1s before circling back and hitting the Q2s and above. Let's see, if your question requires a lot of setup or is specific to you and you alone or just a corner case, we may not be able to address it in this forum, and it may ask you to open up a service desk ticket just so we can hit it with the proper amount of discretion and directness. Let's see. All right, Angela, I'm going to hand it off to you for bug updates, bug fix updates, and our short-term future updates.
Okay, I'm going to take the screen. Marshall, Shayna is in the waiting room. If you could make her a co-host.
Will do. She's still joining.
Okay, and you can see my CSIS screen. Yep. All right, so we had a successful deployment yesterday, and we just updated the known issues again a few minutes ago. So we haven't made it through the entire list of things that were implemented. We're still chasing down the details of a few, but the bulk should now be on the active and resolved issues list, and the fixes implemented are listed up front. There's a couple that I believe still say fix available that I'm still chasing down for, particularly the course validations. There's a handful that are all related, so we haven't updated those yet. And then 6105, I believe, oops, my eyes are especially bad today, sorry. 6105 is, oh, they've updated it. It was saying sent to developer this morning. And for the most part, the duplicate issue is resolved, that if you post your SPRG, you shouldn't get any more duplicates. And they did a data cleanup to remove the dupes. We today are finding some students that still have, in a particular data scenario, still have a few duplicates. And so we are still chasing that down. And I haven't seen, and maybe the analyst can chime in too, I haven't seen any new SPRG files causing new duplicates. Alex is shaking her head. No, so we think you're safe there. It's fine. And worst case scenario, if for some reason it does create dupes again, we can always do the data cleanup. So yes, you are safe to post your SPRG files. And that was it for the fixes that I wanted to talk about. We're getting ready for the next Tuesday's release, and so I grabbed what I could find for you on what I think is going to be included on Tuesday. I believe that's the 21st. Yes, and there likely will be more items. So I have it up on my screen right now of the issue items that are expected to be fixed. These are at least are in testing or have been tested. Because we're in the middle of our sprint, there likely will be more added to this before our code cutoff on Friday. And I'll leave that up while we start taking some questions. So back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Angela. Starting out at the 3 o'clock timestamp with Denise, question 1. Is known issue 6009 IVR SPRG 0082 invalid education service code fixed? I still see it as an active bug on my list. And what do we see over here? Yeah.
That's the one that was causing the dupes, SPRG dupes.
No.
It's not?
No, it was academic service year. And that was 6105. So I'm going to stop sharing. Alex, you can take over, and I'll dig for that 6009 and see where it's actually at.
Perfect. Thank you. Moving on to Soraya, question 1 at 301. Merge school reporting. If two schools in our district are reporting together, for example, Apple Middle School and Apple High School, is it accurate to exit 8th grade completers from the middle school with an E230, 480, or 485? A little confused about this because if they're using the same CDS code, then they are technically the same school in the eyes of CalPADS. So neither would really work. You would just E155 them and they'd come back to the same school the next term. So I guess I'm confused with merge school reporting. I would need to know, are they sharing the same CDS code? Or if they're using different CDS codes, because different CDS codes, the E230, 480 is accurate if they've completed the highest grade level available at the site. So
And
I don't know.
Paul, saying yes, same code, but you should probably clarify whether the schools are merging under one CDS code for the new academic year or they merged this year.
What, Brandy?
Soraya, did you? Oh, they've been merged. Were they merged this year, or are they being merged in July? Oh, so it's the same code.
Well, if it's the same code, then it's the same school, and you would just put them in as E155, and they would come back the following year and start up again. And then at the end of high school, obviously, it's the E230, 100 as they graduate. All right, Kim Day at 301, are we safe to upload SPRG without creating duplicates? Angela addressed that in her intro, and you should be free and clear to upload SPRG information. Okay, so up on the screen there is the message from the CalPADS team showing 6105 SPRG has been fixed, or the PM 6105 has been fixed. So yes, you should be good to go. Aaron, attempting to send up my Stas file today and got an error, Stas 0305 for my private school group students, all 25. Looking at last year's files I sent up, all of the data looks identical, non-exempt and non-zeros across the columns. How do I remedy this, or should I open a ticket? Let's see, 30.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, Paul, is a private school student shouldn't be reported because they have an enrollment status 50 in the Stas. So I don't know if that's, but she says group, so I don't know if she means NPS, which in that case, you would report them as an exempted, and all the fields would have, you'd have the exemption indicator populated and all the other fields should be blank.
Right, all the fields below it, yeah. So Karen, I agree with Nate that there's enough question to just open a service desk ticket, put my name on it, Paul, and I will take a look at it and let you know what I see. All right, Dana at 301, hello. I discovered today that one of our high schools performing arts pathway has one course with 7231 intermediate dance choreography, state concentration code, and 7238 advanced professional theater capstone state course code. Both courses are required for our 2-year performing arts pathway. Will this be an issue since the capstone is not 7232?
So without looking at those codes, are those, if what's important about a specific pathway is that both the concentrator and the capstone are within the same pathway. So, and where you can find that information is in the course group master combos, which Alex, I believe, is taking you to right now. And what you want to make sure is that those two courses are within the same pathway, because you cannot have two courses in different pathways, a capstone in a different pathway than the other course, and actually call that a pathway. So
Is there a validation, Brandy, that we look for an actual capstone course when they mark the student as a completer?
so we do look for, if they're marking them as a completer in, so what, and I'm sorry, I joined late, so I can't see the question. So the concentrator course, is it a 3-course pathway or just 2 course?
It says 2-year performing arts pathway.
Okay, and what are the course codes again? There we go.
7231 and 7238.
Okay, so you should be fine. So they're in different sub pathways, but it's fine. As long as they're in the same CTE pathway, you're good. Okay, yes, you're good.
Okay, they're good. Jim, question 1. We have a number of 3 to 5-year-olds who have been assessed for SPED, found to qualify, and the district offered FAPE at the IEP. Parents have chosen not to enroll, so the student has not received services. I've been marking those transactions DNR, do not report, as the child is not enrolled with us. If the parent enrolls in the subsequent school year and the IEP goes into effect, how do I ensure the student is accurately reflected in CALPADS? If I simply mark the initial IEP as reportable, I expect that I would get a GER 5 because the student was not enrolled in the year that the IEP was held.
So the fact that you've been DNRing these kids is probably not appropriate, right? You do need to report that as part of your child find responsibility that these students were assessed, even though the parents declined. And just remember that in particular for these students, what it means when you submit an enrollment to CALPADS is that your district has a responsibility to assess that student. Okay, so in those cases, when you need to get that SPED record in, you need to submit an enrollment up to CALPADS, and the enrollment status and where the student's enrolled really depends on where the student's at, but generally you would, and what age the student is, obviously. So I would probably need some more information about that. However, you would submit the enrollment. The enrollment start date would reflect the parental consent date for evaluation. You would submit up the SPED record indicating that the parents declined, which I believe is plan type 700. And then once you've done that, once you've got the SPED record posted, then you would go to the enrollment record and you would submit an exit date 1 day prior to the enrollment start date with an exit reason code of N470, which basically nullifies the enrollment. It's a no-show code. And it tells CALPADS essentially that, you had a responsibility to assess the student, but they are not actually enrolled in your LEA.
All righty, moving on to NALYSA 302 Q1. I am getting format 1 and format 8 errors for one student when I upload the WBLR file. What is the maximum length for the WBL hours external field? The student has over 1,000 hours. All right, Alex has pulled up the CFS and has pulled up the WBLR file type, and we can see right there that the hours external is where is the format itself? Can we scroll? There it is, okay. So the must equal one of the following, either single integer, double integer, triple integer. So it looks like it can go up to three characters in a decimal. So you can do straight number like 90, or you can add a decimal, 90.1, 2, 3, 4, that kind of thing. But it cannot exceed the decimal place, I don't believe. So it's a total of 4. Well, including a decimal.
3, right?
3 plus a decimal,
Mm.
using their examples.
So for that to be valid, it should just be 999 hours because they are saying the student has 1,000 hours.
Right. So it's just like the old video games. You max it out at 999999999. No, you'd just put in the 3 9s and you would meet your reporting requirement. They wouldn't see all 1,000 hours, but it's you will have put in as many hours as you could. And if that doesn't work, open. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And it's okay. Just keep in mind, I'm really that's very like 1,000 hours. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Remember that the work-based learning hours external, what we're capturing is work-based learning hours within an academic year. And I'm asking the question, but did that student earn those 1,000 hours in 1 year?
While still going to school, right, Brandy?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that seems a little unreasonable because these are based on a particular academic year. It's not based on a cumulative in grades 9 through 12. It's based on 1 year. And so my question to that person is, because I'm thinking that you're reporting hours over several years. What? Wow, Melissa, 1,000 hours? Does this kid even go to school?
Well, I mean, if you do the math and they work 50, or if they work 20 to 25 hours a week for 9 months, it's getting pretty close.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know, we may have to have some internal conversations about the length of that field.
All right, moving on to Russell at 302. Russell asks, do we need to report ed code violations, suspensions that happened during the summer? We did not suspend the student, but put him into another means of correction. Up on screen, you can see Alex is pulling up the FAQs on summer school discipline reporting, and there it is. Yes, students, and depending on what date it happened, would depend on which end of year you submitted in. If it happens prior to the end of the year, so prior to June 30th, you would report it in this end of year. If it happened July 1st or beyond, you would report it next year. So, yep, got to do it. Moving on to Marcy. Any updates when fix for known issue CRSC 0463 might be completed?
Yeah.
And that would be bug 5971.
463 and 464 are in Tuesday's release, 21st.
Here we go. Always seem to lose my pad of paper. Okay, hold on just a second. Q2. All right, moving on to Carolyn at 302. Q1, we mark our foreign exchange 12th grade students completion code as did not graduate. Does this affect our cohort dropout date? It depends on which code you use to say did not graduate. In the cohort training, there's a whole discussion of what removes a student from the cohort population so that they don't affect your completion rate in any way, shape, or form. And I believe if you just code them as they're leaving the country, T200 or T240, I don't remember which exactly, removes them from all considerations. But you do need to be able to support that exit code with the documentation showing that they were a foreign exchange student and that heading out of the country would not be, you know, odd. So here it is. So T200 transfer out of US. T240, I'm sorry. T240 would be transferring out of the US, and that would remove them from your cohort calculations. So there you go.
Could you include them if you wanted to?
If they actually graduated, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, code them out as E2 3100, they would be counted as a graduate completer. Okie dokie. Going to Ethan at 303. Just an FYI, I can confirm that I am still getting incorrect CRSC 0468s despite Tuesday's release. Okay, appreciate that. Suzanne at 303, question 1. I have a student's old CSIS number in our old SIS, which I thought we were uploading during the CSIS to CALPADS conversion. CALPADS is not finding a match with the old CSIS ID number. Should I reassign the new SSID, but it will date back from 2005 to 2007? The former student says she needs it for college applications.
Should have been carried over, right? Should have migrated even from the old days.
Yeah, I don't
Should
remember any.
have.
Yeah, I don't remember any conversations about anything we were going to exclude.
If you want to put the SSID in the direct chat to me, Suzanne, I'll take a look and see what I can find.
It's the whole purpose to have that ID follow them.
We have a new bug for 468, so it wasn't fixed all the way. So that's still coming.
Okay. Kay Peterson at 303. If there is already a TBD record for the CELA on a student who was a no-show last year, will that TBD be sent to TOMS for the 22-23 school year? If there is a 2022-2023 SENR. So if it was a 21-22 no-show, but a 22-23 showed up, and the old TBD is sitting out there with a non-English primary language, I think the TBD would carry over and be picked up, but I'm not 100% on that, but I believe that it would be.
Yes, it should.
It's the whole new model of CELA, right? Regardless
Right. I mean, the business rules remain the same, which is the status that gets sent over to TOMS. And keep in mind that we send the file over to TOMS with the student's most recent English language acquisition status. And then a subset of those students whose English language acquisition status is TBD with a non-English primary language get test registration records created for purposes of the initial LPAC. But if a student's most recent status is TBD, then that status would, and their primary language is other than English, then it would qualify them to take the initial LPAC.
Excellent. Thank you, Brandy. 303, Angelina, question 1, and she kind of corrects it a minute later there. Question 1, is there a known issue on report 2.16 or 2.17 for end of year 3? I see zeros on all of my schools.
6163.
There you go, up on screen. Alex has pulled up 6163, end of year 3, snapshot report 2.17 blank, 2.16 shows zeros.
At first I logged that for just the 2.17, but subsequent tickets showed that it was 2.16 as well, so we added 2.16 to that.
Perfect, thank you, Gary. And you, Alex. And if, Angelina, you want to be linked to that, open up the service desk ticket requesting to be linked to problem 6163. Cedric at 304. Hi, Cedric. Long time no talk. Our test coordinator told us a student is TBD in TOMS. However, they can't pull them up in the student test system. It says no test available. The TBD is from 2019 and not from us originally. Does the TBD date need to be in the current calendar year for the student to test? Good timing on that one.
Yeah, I don't think so, Cedric. So if you want to just submit it, or actually if you just want to put the SSID to me in a direct message in the chat, I can look them up and see what the issue might be. But the other thing is, you know, if your testing window is finished for the, you know, 21-22 academic year, that might be why. But send me the SSID and I'll find out.
Perfect. Thank you, Brandy. 305, Barbara. I have my first summer school suspension. Mazel tov. I was able to get the sync, sirs, and soft into the extract and post them with no issues. I'm just not sure what I'm supposed to do with the attendance now.
And an exemption?
Well, because they're in summer school, and I think she's trying to address that. But because summer school, well, actually, hell.
You report the Stas suspension in the academic year where that discipline was reported. Remember, you guys said 6:30. If the incident was on 7/1, then the Stas should be reported next year.
Got it. I was reading that differently. Thank you, Karen. I was going to make that a lot more complex than it needed to be. All right, Rachel at 305, ETA on CRSC 0463, 0468. They have fall 2 listed under known issues.
Tuesday for those.
All right, so Tuesday. Lori at 305, I still don't see the student discipline available on online maintenance. Is it coming soon?
Yeah, last I heard from the tester on that, he was still finding bugs. So both course and incident are not showing up just yet. So they were reluctant to open that up. I'm chatting with him online right now, and he says course anyway is looking good. So I think it sounds like we're getting close. I don't want to commit to anything because, yeah, I just.
You just don't want to commit to anything.
I just don't want to. I mean, that's kind of like my life motto anyway, but.
All right. So coming soon, hopefully, working through bugs. Moving on to Diana Sierra. If there's a student that completed both a capstone and a concentrated course, but they have different subpathways, 111A versus 111B, do they still qualify as a completer?
Yes. The subpathways don't matter as much as the pathway. So as long as they're both in 111, they're good. You're good.
Okie dokie. I'm sorry, I got fascinated with filtering for just a moment. Chrissy at 306, are we clear to work on ERDs and CCEs? I wanted to confirm the reports were working correctly.
No, both of those have several bugs. So in the CCE, the major one is that it's triggering anomalies on N470 no-show records when it shouldn't. So you'd have to weed through a lot. And then ERD is also over-triggering. So if you're patient and willing to dig through all that, go for it. I'd probably wait if you could, if it were me. And then I also misspoke on 468. It looks like that one is not in Tuesdays, but the following Tuesday. So 463, 464 course validations are this Tuesday, but 468 got reopened as a new bug, and so they put that in the following Tuesday's release.
So about 2 weeks on the 6/8.
28th, June 28th. Yeah.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you. Q1 at 3:08 from Shelley. Any idea when 5953 is going to be solved? And that's the CRSC 0468. And so that will be about 2 weeks from now. Leanne at 3:09, STEM GR1, known issues shows fixed, but I'm getting 8 errors. I just removed the records and uploaded the file again, and it got rejected. Doesn't even seem to take to the file at all. How do I proceed? STEM GR1. Well, if you're still triggering that GR1 and it meets the 6107 description, we definitely need to hear about that. So I would ask you please open a service desk ticket referencing that and give us the job IDs that are triggering the errors after it was implemented. 314, Dan writes, hello, I just needed help with a ticket I submitted. I was talking with someone back and forth for about 6 days. I replied to a question of theirs, but I haven't heard back. I know you guys are usually really good about replying, so I just wanted to see if that was lost in cyberspace. Ticket number is?
It's one of yours, Paul. That was the 101 errors, which was too many bugs and too many Dalmatians.
Ah, yes, and 99 of my problems, and a couple of them are CalPads.
And so Paul was out sick, Dan, so for a few days, and so he's probably still playing catch up. So
I am, Dan. I apologize for that. I will.
Want me to shoot you that number, Paul?
Please. Okay, 314, Rebecca Morales. If we have expulsions that happened after our school year ended due to the court not making a decision till then, do we still report those CalPads since they fall outside of our school in session days? You know, again, as long as you found out before, you know, the end of the academic year, yes, you need to definitely report it. And if you found out after, I'm not sure how that would work because the court decision would have happened in the subsequent academic year that the incident occurred in. Brandy, you want to weigh in on that one?
Yeah, I mean, remember, you're reporting incidents based on the incident occurrence date. So this seems to be like a recurring theme in the Q&A. Folks think that they report it based on the date that the disciplinary action was determined, and that isn't it. It's reported based on the date the incident occurs. Now, let's just say hypothetically that the court, or whoever's making this decision, hasn't decided. My hope is that by August 26th, which is the final certification deadline, that will have happened by then. It sounds like this student was recommended for expulsion, and so hopefully between now and August 26th, you'll have that answer. But you're reporting incidents based on the incident date and not the disciplinary action date.
Thank you, Brandy. I definitely make it more complex than I have to more often than I need to. So thank you for that reminder to keep it simple. Sylvia at 314, how did the district access without an enrollment? How did I'm not sure what you're asking, Sylvia. If you want to flesh that out a little bit lower down, please do, and I will cover you back in a minute. 317, Judy, where could I get more detailed information regarding the services that will be reported on the IEP implementation update?
Judy, that's going to be collected in a collection separate from CalPads. It's going to be outside of CalPads, and you should just send a message to the SPED data support team, and they can direct it to the right person, because literally I just found out about that last week. And I'll type the email address in the chat.
Okay, and Melissa responded back saying that yes, she verified with the teacher that was in one academic year, 1,000 hours. 320, Nicole writes, end of year, error CRSC 0463. Is this, this is a current issue. My report 3.9, course sections completed is not showing any data. Is this part of the errors issues?
Could be. If they all aired out, they wouldn't show up on their report.
All right, Mika 321. Will someone from CalPADS attend PSU Anaheim conference in June of this year? In previous years, you had a state reporting session at PSU Anaheim.
I wasn't asked to do a session. So, you know, if you want to make a suggestion to Power School and they want me to do sort of an after-hours session, I am happy to do that if you guys want me to, which is what we did last time. But I haven't gotten a request from Power School.
Very good. At 325, Gimli of Gondor Unified has sent a question. 3 years students' records inactive prior to the conversion in 2008 were purged, if I recall correctly. Hence, a 2005 grad may not appear in the current database.
Someone else also said that later in the chat. So folks have a much better memory than I do. Although Martha's usually got a steel trap. Martha, do you remember if we purged IDs at one point?
I do not recall us purging.
Brandy, does that ring a bell with you?
I know that we didn't start the cohort until 2006. So prior to that, we didn't really have the official cohort.
So, but maybe back when we went from certs to CalPADS, did we not pull everything in?
We did.
I
I don't recall us having to exclude anything. Everything carried over.
Okay. Alexandra at 325, the CRSC 0463 shows on your list as closed. Does that mean that it has been resolved or does it still have an issue? There's a new issue and it should be included next Tuesday's build. Frank Kaiser, 326, per my former CalPADS admin, not all old original CSIS IDs carried back in the day if the student had not been enrolled for a while. So again, that kind of fits with Gimli up there, that if they had been deactivated, they weren't brought over. But you know, again, I don't recall any of that.
I don't know what that means, deactivate.
Yeah.
There may have been a rule of, you know, they had to have an active enrollment prior year or something. Gosh, do not remember that.
Check with the database analyst, see if he remembers.
A database conversion, huh?
It's nice to have institutional memory going back that far.
Except that we've deleted that memory, Paul.
But we have multiple sources we can check with.
Well, I think our users are remembering better than we did.
Sylvia at 328, hello. For end of year 4 SPED, I have been looking at my certification status and currently have no errors. I would love to think that I am error-free, but I suspect that this is false. Do you have any information on this? Okay, so up on the screen, which one is, oh, this is CalPADS Flash 223. And the highlighted portion reads, all CDDs, those are the data discrepancies, are the certification data discrepancies, are scheduled to be implemented and visible in the certification UI in the latter part of June, or later part of June. So yes, while we hope that you are error-free as well, we won't know until the later part of June. Expect that, you know, closer to the 30th than now. So within about the next 2 weeks, call it. Okay, 330 Q1, Terry. I noticed under student absence summary is that independent study ADA days are not showing. Is this intentional?
In the UI or?
On the CCE report. So I'm assuming in the UI on the CCE report page. I'm sorry, no, under the student absence summary independent study 88 days. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where.
Maybe the container, maybe in OM.
Hey, Terry, could you flesh that out a little bit and just, poke something into the bottom of the chat saying in the UI when I look up a student or in a report, or what reference are you looking at where you're not seeing the independent study 88 days? Kay has a comment on the CCE report, not even displaying on the page, so I have no idea of what the CCEs might be for the district.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That one's hit and miss. Some LEAs can load their CCEs and others cannot, and it's only happening to the LEA level accounts, not state level users. But like I said, Kay, you're not missing out a lot because it's over triggering, so I think it'd get overwhelming trying to wade through those anyway.
Fabiola, are we eventually going to be able to do online maintenance on the SIRS and soft buckets?
Yes, those are we're waiting on incident and course to come over. Alex has it up on our screen in the left-hand nav there. And once we have those links there, it'll show up under the students as well.
Nice. Kara at 332, checking on the status of 16.7 and 8 accuracy and DSEA extract accuracy. Well, we still have all the bugs that had been extant prior to CalPADS going down on the 16.8 are still there. And I think we've actually remedied most of the 16.8 bug problems that we ran into after the development, but the underlying issues are still there. But being worked on. 335, Dan. Okay, understood about Paul being out. Feel better. Okay, thank you. I'll get in touch with you soon. Judy, Brandy at 336, put in the SPED data support at cde.ca.gov email address. Okay, Ren will do. Brandy, your session always.
They really want you there, Brandy.
They do. They're just selling you in the chat.
There too. It's at Disneyland.
That's right. It's at Anaheim.
It's there.
Kay is saying, from my memory, the conversion in 2009 from CSIS to CalPADS lost a lot of SSIDs. That's why the CSIS vendors had a lot of different comparison reports. I remember retrieving new SSIDs for some of the students I had already retrieved SSIDs for in CSIS during DataGate.
So yeah, our database analyst isn't remembering all that either. He says, I think we migrated all the SSIDs from certs. There might have been some migration issues and they got dropped, but I don't think we purged any SSIDs in CalPADS as far as I remember. Boy, you guys are testing us today.
This is Marshall. I was looking at my database from back that time in 5/15/2009. I'm seeing a lot. I am seeing missing SSIDs, access to the SSID database. So there may have been something that went around in 2009.
They got archived, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like something like that.
All right, moving on to Asya 341. In regard to data discrepancies, will data discrepancies become visible for Gen Ed and SPED end of year 4 at the end of June? Please advise. So yes, like we discussed in Flash 223, towards the end of the month, end of June, those will become visible and you should be able to start working on them with full visibility. Eva at 341, may I have the video links to the end of year 2, 3, and 4 reporting certifications? I checked out the CSIS training channel, but I didn't see the new videos mentioned in the email sent out by CalPADS at cde.ca.gov on June 8th. And up on screen, we're taking the tour of the CSIS training page, the CSIS YouTube training page, I should say. And at the bottom, or in the middle, as you're scrolling through, you can see the end of year reporting and certification trainings in their very own lists under the playlist. So that way you see them all in one place. You should be able to do the entire series right there. It's riveting. I'll tell you, you can just binge watch the whole thing.
These years are still being recorded. So we're still doing live sessions. And so the best session would be recorded and posted here.
So we only have last year's up so far.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Let's see. And my screen jumped for just a second. Terry at 342 in CalPads looking at a student's student absence summary.
She's looking at the mode.
Yeah, the container for independent study, non-ADA. Is that what she asked?
No, ADA generating independent study days is missing from that as a column. And she's right. It is missing.
Okay.
So can we get
Would we like a ticket on that?
Yes, please.
Terry, would you mind putting in a ticket on that so we can dig in and report it and get a bug generated on that? Thank you very much. Rebecca at 343. I know there are issues. Sorry?
So although I will say, Terry, if you open the student record, it is there. It's just not displaying on that initial screen.
Oh, that's probably by design then. That's a big record, and we probably ran out of real estate and something had to give. So as long as it's in the modal, it was probably by design, knowing our team.
Yeah, and it is in the modal once you open the student record. So sorry.
Okay, you scared me, Brandy.
All right, Rebecca, 343. I know there are issues with the CCE and ERD data. Does this mean that CECE reports 11.1 is not accurate?
I mean, it'll have the same problems that the UI does if it's over counting or over triggering CCEs. I also have another bug where I can't get that report to render for some of the larger LEAs at all, so it just spins.
344, Frankiser. They're bringing the receipts for us. I have an excerpt from Paula years ago, quote, so all students had SSIDs beginning on 2005-06, but not all LEAs submitted all data to certs in anticipation of CalPads. Then CalPads came along and the first began collecting data in the fall of 2009. All of the CSIS or SSIDs in certs were ported over, as well as demographic data from certs were converted.
That fits my memory.
So maybe from that, if they didn't have whatever it was, if they weren't ported over to certs, maybe that was the problem.
No, certs was the original.
There was data conversion rules, and maybe some didn't make it because they didn't satisfy the data conversion rules.
But I think the key thing here is the SSID was needed for an application for college, and they're not required. So maybe just telling that student, if you can't find the SSID, to double check, because it's probably not required. I mean, there's students that go to California colleges who never went to school in California.
And also if their enrollment predates, actual SSIDs, then that's,
She sent the SSID though. It doesn't exist in legacy or current CalPads.
Oh, I see.
So we're trying to track down what happened to it.
All right. Sharon at 344. Apologies, came in late. Are we good to resolve mids? And then download SSID replacement extracts.
As long as you are done with your testing window, right?
All right.
But Angela, if they do their mids and their testing window is done, there are some outstanding bugs, so just be aware. you can do it, and hopefully you don't get one of the bugs.
Yeah, the bugs are not universal. There's kind of some sporadic things happening. But one of the fixes that went in on Tuesday was the issue where it was showing the wrong demographic information on the matched SSID. So it looked like they were identical students when in some cases they were not. They have different guardians and different birth cities. That is fixed now.
All right. Gimli of Gondor is commenting that there was a cutoff. We went through a few. I believe it was because so much of it was so far out of the current codes and handed down by the new system architects and a few orcs. 346, Monica. Where can I find more help or info on the Stas 588 error? When I click on the link, I get this response. The resource you are looking for has been removed and its name is changed or temporarily unavailable. If you go to the bottom documentation footer of any CalPADS page, you're going to run into the error list. If you just select the error list, it'll open up the actual Excel spreadsheet. And for a Stas 588, you would navigate to the Stas tab, student absentee tab. And when you're in there, you look up the 588 and you'll be able to find it. It's just that right now the user manual is not been updated to match, and it's not Kyron's fault. He is trying, he has everything available. He's just kind of on a holding pattern, waiting for some technical issues to be resolved. Then he will update the user manual with all of these. Asya, follow up to the data discrepancy question. Since DDs will become available at the end of June, does this mean that we shouldn't certify prior to June? My SPED person is leaving prior to the end of June. I don't think we
can't certify.
Yeah, I was going to say, and we had prevented that at this point.
Alex has it up on her screen.
And again, flash 223.
There's a paragraph or a whole section on when can I certify.
CDE will confirm when CDDs are implemented and then enable the approve button within CalPADS so that the LEAs may begin certifying their end of year submissions. So you're not going to be able to certify until that functionality is available. Okay. Gimli also notes that there are records for some seniors with the C conversion ID on there, filler for very, very, very old records. So she's still seeing some of our old conversion records that have stuck with their schools and their enrollments. 350, K. Peterson, what was CERTS? The district only did the annual maintenance in CSIS Datagate once per year. Then we had to do the direct certification when I started doing CSIS in 2006.
CERTS was State Reporting Records Transfer System.
Datagate
and CERTS were the same thing. Just different names.
351, Shelley, are snapshots still being created throughout the day or only overnight? My last file posted at 8:45 this morning and I still don't have a new snapshot. As far as I know, the process is still running throughout the day. I know that manually triggering them is not immediately accessible to us right now, but as long as you're posting new data to the system and then idling yourself and all other users, new revisions should still be generated throughout the day. 351, Betty Lee, I just checked several of my 2005 graduates. Their SSIDs are not coming up in CalPADS. 350, oh, damn it. Sharon Walters at 351. Got it, thank you. And yes, we are done with testing. question 1 from Yadira at 352. My end of year 3, I have one Cert 153 for a student who does not have any incidents or offense codes and no suspensions and or in-school suspensions. On the student summary, no Sabo, what to do? Cert 153. Results. I'm wondering if there isn't an orphaned one sitting behind the scenes somewhere that somehow, some way, an incident record was created and the results file was created, and then the incident was deleted, but the results remained, but you can't see the results because the incident no longer exists, so it's orphaned in the background. So we might actually need help searching that one out from the back-end database admins, but we might be able to find it otherwise too. If you open up a service desk ticket, throw my name on it and we will try and sort that out for you. Juan at 352 has the issue with SPRG ODS missing data for the last 2 columns been resolved. So that's for the extracts, I believe. I know we were still discussing adding those 2 fields back in.
The fields are there, but the data isn't populated for all of them. And Brandy, what did we say at the vendor call on Thursday?
For
the ODS extracts, the date fields, are we going to just leave them as is, or did they want us to go back and backfill those?
I recall Rima asking what they do with the dates, and nobody really said anything.
right.
So I don't think we have a decision what we're doing.
I don't think we decided affirmatively. We'll probably talk about it at CRIS tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
Asya 354, when do you expect certification functionality? Towards the latter half of the month, as soon as the rest of the functionality has been turned on, verified, and it's available, then CD will evaluate whether or not to turn on the approval buttons, which would then free you up to certify. So it'll be towards the end of the month, possibly even after July 1st, a little bit. Where are we? Oh, Roger at 354, still getting IVR9 invalid characters in the field when I upload a synth. 128 errors. Need this to be fixed soon.
I have
and
some
I
good
wanted
news.
to emphasize that.
I have some good news. That looks like, I just checked, and it looks like it's been handed over to a tester. So progress on that one, and it is scheduled for the Tuesday release.
That's good. I was feeling very threatened by his emoji there. That's a dead man right there.
They're very, very passionate about that one. It's annoying. I'm with them there. It's an annoying bug for sure.
Well, just know that Roger's going to be hunting down some emojis if he doesn't get his ability to fix those characters soon. Betty Lee, FYI, SSIDs for 2007 graduates can be found in CalPads, not 2006 or 2005.
What year did we start doing annual maintenance for all LEAs?
I want to say it was 2006.
So Fremont was not a part of the original cohort for your state reporting, right? So that makes sense. So Betty would not have SSIDs for students back in 2005.
Yeah, it's quite possible. We gave people up until 2005 to obtain SSIDs, and then 2006 we started the annual maintenance. And we did phase people in and getting SSIDs.
All right. Very quickly, we are just passing 4 o'clock. I want to be respectful of your time. If you need to drop off, please feel free to do so. Know that we appreciate you being here. We are not going to hold a Friday office hours anymore. It's just going to be Mondays and the Wednesday Q&As. So don't look for us this Friday. Look for us next Monday. If you need us before then, please open a service desk ticket and we'll get back to you as quickly as you can. I'm going to keep going through and get through as many of these as we can, maybe hit a couple of the follow-ups as well.
And I've got to head out to another meeting, but I will see you guys.
Brandy, I wanted to respect their time, not yours. You get to sit. That's a joke, by the way. Please don't hate me.
All right.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, Brandy. See you later. See you tomorrow, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. Shelley, following up, how long does it usually take to get a new revision? It depends on the traffic in the system. Usually you'd expect it, within a half a day of finishing up your last work. Melissa, okay, getting those. I think already some cost talks. Yeah, Betty, the 2007 graduates would only have the one enrollment record in CalPADS. We didn't actually go to a granular year-to-year enrollment model until what, 14, 15, 15, 16, something like that. And so, unless they switched LEAs, you were going to have just a monolithic enrollment record that could go, multiple years. Days, okay. Gimli on 358 dates on SPRG records would be good. Not sure what that's referencing.
Probably the ODS extract, I think.
Oh, those, gotcha, perfect. Roger's thanking you, Angela, because he likes that news as much as the revelation that you have a fear of commitment. I love our users. 4 o'clock, Kyron posted a link to LEAs retrieving their core CalPADS memories, which looks like a scary Giphy link. Uh-oh, he's got receipts. That's funny. Right, Rebecca, gone. Cindy. Okay. Are we off on Juneteenth?
No.
Okay.
No, our HR people are still talking about what we're going to do with that one. So
Gotcha.
we are here.
That was a good point. I'd forgotten about Juneteenth. Let's see. And Jan is telling me that nobody puts Brandy in the corner. That's funny. Okay. All right. I'm going to head back up and start hitting the Q2s at the earliest point, which was 3:02 with Jim Carter. Question 2, can you direct me to the correct flash which outlines the process for which steps to take when a second incorrect SSID is assigned to a student? So for mid-resolutions, all of that is discussed in the CalPADS SSID and Enrollment Procedures Manual, which is in the footer of CalPADS. And that's just all the big broad strokes of what happens during a mid-merge. Section 4.2, I believe, is mids.
What's
Is he referring to?
Maybe it's not a mid.
302. No, I think it's the recent activity that we told people, right? When you get an SSID, it gives you a brand new one. And so you immediately go and resolve a mid. Is that 302, Angela? The flash that outlines the process for the steps to take when a second incorrect SSID is assigned to the student, which is our new process, right? You send in a blank SSID, we give you a brand new one. We don't check to see if there's an existing one, and then you have to turn around and do a mid merge.
I believe, Nathan, did you do a video on that one?
Mid merge?
Yeah, I thought I saw that.
Well, it was part of our overview, Nate, of our redesign. The redesign. You did a thing of obtaining SSIDs, and then you mentioned what to do because we're going to create a mid.
The videos are listed, Alex, if you scroll. One is longer than the other. I think it was in the longer.
There it is. That's what I was thinking of. So can you show Jim how you got there again so he can go find that, or put the link in the chat?
From our handy, oh, sorry, Regan.
No, go ahead.
From the user manual, from the header, go to what's new, and there's just one option, post process. And then from here, you have a list of things that you can select from. But if you just start scrolling down, you'll see the videos. It just depends which one you want to look at, but there's. And
it also looks like what while we've been on this meeting, an email rolled in for our CALPADS Weekly Update document. So that should be in your inbox now. Looks like it's just a 2-page update giving you some statistics for processing times, that kind of thing, what's coming up, resolved issues. So we're good on that. Soraya 302 Q2 topic direct cert reports. Does known issue 6161 affect the validity of direct cert extracts for student lunch programs? 6161.
No, that's 1.2, not counting the DC kids as socioeconomically disadvantaged. So that doesn't impact if you download your direct cert extract, those kids are accurate.
Okay. 302 Jim Carter Q3. Any ETA on when SPED 434 and 546 might be fixed?
434, I was really hopeful that it would have been in yesterday's release, but didn't quite make it, or at least partial did, but not the whole thing. So if you have not updated your uploaded your SPED since yesterday afternoon, try again today. Otherwise, the second half of that fix is coming on next Tuesday. And I'm not aware of the other one.
It's not on the error list. Or the known issue, sorry.
So we're not familiar with that one. Jim, if you need help, we might need a ticket from you on that and help you troubleshoot.
Okay, 308, Denise Lee, Q2, we are a K-12 district. 5th and 8th are the highest grades offered at our elementary and middle schools, respectively. For students going from 5th to 6th and 8th to 9th within our district, is it correct that we should use E230 instead of T160? Both are valid, but if they are actually completing the highest grade level at that site, E230 480 is an accurate exit code. So yes, if they're matriculating from the elementary to the middle school and they're 2 separate codes, you go with it. It's E230 480, bam, done. And then the same going from 8th to 9th. And so long as they're using different CDS codes, you're good to go. If you put in a T160, technically that's accurate as well.
Not
but
preferred though.
We would prefer
yeah.
the more granular. They completed everything we had to offer here and they're moving on. That completely separates them from you. They're not going to be included on your DC rolls come July and then have to transfer over to the middle school or the high school. So it's just a nice way to complete them at your site and move them on. And it is just more accurate data to enter.
Avoids potential exit reason discrepancy anomalies as well.
All right, 315, Melissa Q2, where can I find the files that are full replacement? The CFS, the CALPADS file specifications, the Word version of it on the system documentation page includes in the, I believe it's in the I don't remember which one. It might be in the introduction. Discussing the processing method type. There it is, 1.3, the processing method types. And it talks about each kind and then details what each file is under the processing type column down the middle there. So again, that's in the Word version of the CFS found on the system documentation page. Q2, K. Peterson, 321, just out of curiosity, why are 12th graders given all the way to August 15th to be counted as graduates for the previous school year if a usual year, usually fiscal year, runs from July 1st to June 30th? That's just the calendar that's always been since I've been here, that they, even though the academic year runs, 7/1 to 6/30, the graduating seniors, those graduating 12th graders, are given until August 15th to complete all of their requirements. And I'm not sure exactly what the rationale behind that calendar was.
I don't know if it's an ed code or not. And when you have there's a definition for dropout. So maybe they try to give, seniors a chance to complete their credits in summer school. So they made it August 15th. But now you raised our curiosity, Kay. We're going to have to go find that out. Carl Maris, maybe, not Carl Maris, Carl Chef would know the answer to that.
Remember, Martha, curiosity killed the cat. Don't go too far. All right, Q2, Suzanne at 357. So our old SSID number from CSIS was for a student who graduated in 2007. So 2 years before CalPADS, still no matching records in CalPADS. I have no other proof. All right, and Angelina at 358. There are greater than 10 SPED known issues. Is it recommended not to submit SPED post-secondary at the moment?
No, because they're all kind of different reasons, and you may not get, you know, half those IVRs, and it may be just one record and the rest of the records go in. So you got to try and see what you can do.
All right. Yadira 402 Q2, for my promoted 8th graders, should I be entering the promoted exit code, or is that something that happens with our SIS rollover? I would assume that you have to manual or determine what each student is being exited as in your SIS, and then it rolls over to us. But I'm not sure of your the internal processes there.
It sounds as if you would have to definitely use the promoted code, because if you're using the E230 480, remember 480 is a completion status, not just the exit reason. So you would need an additional element, most likely.
Also, she's using Aries. So if I think you don't have an exit, does it auto-populate an E155?
But it's a promotion. It's a promotion, though.
They completed the highest grade at the school.
Yeah, matriculation.
Yeah, but then if they don't exit it in SIS as 480, it will pull up as E155 when they extract the file.
But Aries has a lot of really good documentation on how to do your end of year closing out records and enrollment. So you should reach out to your SIS support. They can guide you on how to code it correctly.
All right, Cedric at 411 has a Q2. Will the known issue 6118 fix include not having it triggering incorrectly for NPS and home hospital students? I have 100 Stas 313s for students who are NPS or home and hospital.
It was already fixed.
So
could that possibly be 0318 and not 0313? The exemption indicator was triggering fatal when it should be a warning. I don't know if the 0318 had been fixed.
It's got to move to a DD, right, Angela? What is triggering on input? There was a couple of them triggering on input that needed to move to being a data discrepancy.
Right. So you shouldn't be, nobody should be getting that one at all anymore. It should be gone as of yesterday.
Okay, so I would say resubmit that Stas file and see what happens.
And then send in a ticket.
All right, 411, Marshall posted highlights from Flash 221. Yadira 414, yes, I get an E155 for my other grades, but I have not seen any exit codes for my 8th graders. Thank you. Sandra at 414. Student data demographic tab 2, use the completion status 480. There we go. Looking for an upload for the night.
I think that's Aries guidance that Sandra gave.
All right, we have hit the end. I think we hit all the follow-up questions and everything else. So we only went 15 minutes over. Thank you for your patience. Really appreciate you being here. Whether we see you on the listserv, talk to you in the CalPADS queue, or we don't see you again until the next Q&A, we really appreciate you being here. Appreciate being able to support you. And if you need anything, please let us know, and we'll talk to you soon.